Last time on The Savior's Sister, Leila found out that her dad is paying someone to kill her, which shouldn't surprise anyone. I thought that was always the plan. She threatens rather than kills some people for once, and she goes to the poetry challenge, where Tobias, of course, makes the best poem that was ever a poem. Hello, welcome back to my darkened living room. What else is new? Someday I will get a new lamp, but it is not this day. Before we start chapter 15, The Game, which consequently was the working title of my sci-fi book, which is still querying, I know, I wanted to go on another tirade about why Pippa is a damaging trope. We've already talked about how she's infantilized, how she's treated like a pet, how she's not allowed to get in a relationship. But another thing that can be damaging with the hyper-innocent neurodivergent character is that it doesn't allow any room for neurodivergent people, to be angry or upset sometimes. And so when a reader who might not have any experience with neurodivergent people, when they encounter them out in the world, they might be shocked to know that neurodivergent people also often get upset or angry or sad, and they might not be the best at handling it. At least I know with autism, regulating emotions can often be an issue that some people have. Autistic people can sometimes just feel things more than their neurotypical counterparts. And so when they get angry, their anger may be demonstrated in a way that people are not expecting. It may be loud, it may be startling, it may even be violent depending on the person. But having Pippa always be in this constant state of sweet, innocent, loving, nothing ever bothers her, it does not leave the door open for both neurodivergent people who are reading this book and neurotypical people who are reading this book to understand. Like, wouldn't it be great if Pippa was upset or had lingering memories or had outbursts to do with the fact that Leila took her from her loving grandfather when she was a child? That would be so interesting to explore, and of course will never happen in favor of making Pippa just like very happy and sweet and docile all the time. So this is not good representation in any way. I guess the long and short of it that I could just say is that this is not good representation of a neurodivergent person. Look elsewhere for that rep because it is not here. But now I have also explained to you why, so you're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome?
This looks like it's going to be kind of a long chapter, so pray for me, friends. I'm losing track of all the people that she has threatened. I just remembered that she's threatened Asher. She's not a nice girl. But she's decided to leave her rooms today by actually walking out of them instead of teleporting out of them. So she's encountered Asher. And Asher's not like following her like he was supposed to, so why? Why was he assigned to her at all?
Oh, because of the glasses and the handsomeness.
Just the language. I haven't really been talking about it because I covered it fairly well in the previous read-along, but this is an excellent example of how the language just changes on a dime. So Leila's talking to her dad, and he says, "I understand now why you're drawn to him. He's arrogant, like you, dares to mock those above him. Of course my daughter favors a smart mouth." He goes from dares to mock those who stand above him to smart mouth. She just stopped to gloat to her dad about how she killed more of his people and then lit a garden on fire. That's it. It reminds me how little she cares about anyone except herself, because someone had to put out that fire. Other people, innocent people, could have been killed. I mean, arguably innocent people were killed. Those two guards did nothing but try to restrain her when she was attacking someone. So she just does not care. Occasionally, Jenna isn't the worst at writing characters bantering with each other. And if I cared about these characters, I'd be way more into the banter. That's why you can't just be good at one thing when you're a writer. Like, you can have gaps. You can have things you're not as good at. People will still notice them, but nobody's good at everything. But if the only thing you're good at is banter, but you can't make us care about your characters, your skill with the banter isn't gonna matter. I mean, Jenna plans to write more books, so she's gonna get more practice, so probably, Hopefully she will start to improve some of these other skills. So they're about to play that memory match game.
In the memory game, there are pictures of cherries, tigers, owls, and large strawberries.
And I guess they play it in front of Leila and her entourage. I didn't remember this, but whatever, it's been a minute. I am seeing a lot of people like saying that so many scenes feel copy-pasted from The Savior's Champion, and I'm like, good thing I don't really remember The Savior's Champion very well, because I wasn't going to reread it before reading this, so it's getting away with more stuff than it would if I had just read The Savior's Champion. I think this is the one that Tobias tanked. This is the one where the silly hammer like comes down and smashes his hand. They were just like, you lose, go away. Oh, the mallet is spring-loaded. Oh, thank goodness. Because in the other book it sounded like it just appeared and whacked you on the hand like a fucking cartoon. It's still very much a cartoon. Why is there a spring-loaded mallet? It's like whack-a-mole. So Leila is already in her head decided she is so done with Tobias because he was forced to hang out with Cosima. I don't know what she wanted him to do. Did she want him to stab Cosima and run away? Like, what did she expect from him? Yep, and Tobias purposefully tanks this challenge, and he's asked to leave. Go away and think about what you've done. You're a very bad boy. But of course this was all set up by Delphi in a kind of, if you love me, you will lose this tournament situation if you've seen A Knight's Tale, which you should. But now Leila can go hang out with Tobias alone in the sanctuary. All these girls are also eating peaches all the time. That's probably a metaphor for something. They talk for like half a page about trying to figure out what the note says that Leila found. And then Delphi's like, okay, that's enough of that. Here's your satchel, go find Tobias and make wub. And of course Leila is so insecure, she won't let Toby tell her about what happened with Cosima, because she's certain that they boinked. So Leila resets Toby's fingers, you know, does the old classic, puts the finger back in place, but she is not actually a healer. She has magic. I would not know how to put somebody's fingers right just by like grabbing them and correcting them. I mean, I could guess and be like, well, that looks straight mostly, but I'd probably do more harm than good. So how does she know how to do it? Why doesn't she just let the magic pull the bones back into place? So we hear a little bit more about Toby's sister and how she used to be a metalsmith and she's so independent, and you expect me to believe that this strong-willed, independent girl is now so ruined that she can't get married, that she'll never be happy again. Like Tobias. She's gonna struggle, yes, but you need to be there for your fucking sister instead of being like, she's half dead. No wonder she hasn't tried anything. It's because her brother is treating her like she can never have happiness again. Her twin, they are twins. Her twin brother is like, oh, my sister, she's useless now, she's unhappy now, she just needs to lay there and be cared for. Instead of helping her overcome and figure out how to do the things she wants to, even with her disability. Instead, he's like, nah, I'll enter a deadly tournament just to win money so I don't have to worry about her anymore. They get to talking about Flynn. Leila's like, God, Flynn, what an ass. Why? How? Look at all of his actions up until this point. He's been a little bit crude, but much less so than everybody else except Tobias. That's it. He has checked on Tobias. He has helped Tobias. He has been a good friend. Look at his actions. He might have a slight issue objectifying women, but look at everyone else. Of course he's behaving this way. That's just how you behave here. Only Tobias is morally strong enough to not do it. But Flynn is not big or impressive or scary. So why wouldn't he behave the way that all of the big, impressive, scary men are behaving? We don't even know that this is what he's really like. Well, except we do because, you know, depth of character isn't something that Jenna really goes for. They get to talking about siblings again. Tobias says, what of Cosima? Leila clenched her jaw. She drifts away from me. Every day she's a bit further. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe if you treated her like a human being instead of an annoyance. Maybe if you stopped blaming her for the way that she looks. She did not have a choice in basically anything in her life. Leila, you have a choice to not treat her like crap. But you're like, no, she's drifting away from me. Gee, I wonder why. I thought that maybe Cosima would be even more despicable in this, and I would be like, okay, well, she's like fucking Kaleo. There's not really much you can like about Kaleo because he's not written to have any depth. But, like, you can read between the lines with Cosima, and I feel so bad for her. Oh, I found a typo. Just one. And again, typos do not ruin a book in my opinion. But it took me like 3 tries to understand that it was a typo. Did she the most uncomfortable thing? It's supposed to be she did the most uncomfortable thing. Self-published authors often cannot afford to have multiple copy editors go through a book. I can't. It's fine if there are a couple typos in there. There are often typos in books that are traditionally published and have had multiple editors go through them. And then Tobias is like, I didn't kiss her, and Leila is just blown off her seat that there would be a man who wouldn't want to kiss Cosima. This should be the end of it. This should be the end of Leila's insecurities. He's like, I didn't kiss her. She's why? I think you know why. Yeah, he likes you, and he's refused your sister. This should be the end of your insecurities. Oh good, we get a repeat of the story where Tobias talks about how he was sexually assaulted at a young age by an older woman. And Leila's like, I've never fallen in love with anybody, there's nobody around, it's just hot women, wall-to-wall hot women, and all the guys fall for them. And there's no one for me. There's guards, but who needs them? And of course Leila would not think about, like, the servants, because those aren't people. She would only think about people that are, like, closer to her standing. And then they almost kiss, and Leila's like, ew, my first kiss, because she's 12 years old. And then she freaks out and doesn't want to do it. Oh, this will they, won't they kiss scene just keeps going. I'm sitting here mostly just daydreaming and thinking about, like, you know, maybe it's not the worst thing that Leila doesn't think about the servants as people, because think of the way she was raised. It would make sense for her not to think of the servants as people. And if she had other qualities that could make us as readers like her, we could forgive things like that, that make sense for her character, but still make us go, oh, that's not the best, Leila. But it's understandable. The problem is, she has only those. Now they're both talking about, oh, what we would do with our futures, and Leila's like, I would go out in the world and use my skills to help people. And I seriously doubt that. So they kiss for like a page, and that's the end of the chapter. And Leila ends being like, oh, Tobias, I trust you now. I believe that you love me, or at least you like me, but that will go away in no time. Next time he's seen in the vicinity of Cosima, Leila's gonna be freaking out all over again. Progress. Donk. Hi, hello, I just got out of the shower where I just dyed my hair, so it's just doing whatever the fuck it wants, and I don't care. I'm gonna let my hair be my hair. I'm like a angry ginger hedgehog up on my head here. Alright, let's get on to chapter 16, The Intellect. I'm gonna try to go through this pretty fast. Poor Cosima. So they're all sitting around having girl talk, and Cosima's telling them how she tried to get Tobias to kiss her and he wouldn't. And then Delphi's like, the poem was for Leila. And Cosima's like, it was? Like, she's so disappointed. Poor Cosima. And everyone's gonna be like, yeah, you deserve it, Cosima, because you're a shallow bitch. And it's like, or she's not, and you just don't give her a chance. Yeah, and then Cosima's like, why didn't you tell me? I don't know, because your sisters are terrible to you, that's why. By the way, speaking of Cosima, I have written possibly the first ever, in my estimation, fanfic for TSS, and it is a Cosima fanfic, so I will try to remember to link you to it down below. Go read it, it's really short, and I desperately want to give depth to this poor character. Now we know that Cosima's probably being duplicitous, but right now she's being really chill about it. She's like, oh, Leila, if I'd known he was your boy, I would have left him alone. Now, of course, we know from her actions later that she's not gonna leave him alone, and I wish that she got to have this. I wish that she was allowed to be a person. We get a teeny tiny little taste of world building. We learn that Covarians have hundreds of dialects. I'm really surprised that anybody's willing to do anything for Brontes anymore, because he hands out some keys to another guy and he's like, alright, you're the new keeper of the treasury now, and we all know, he knows, I know, Leila knows, babies not yet born into this world know that Leila's gonna kill him next so she can get at the treasury and whatever lies within. I don't know what this guy knows. He even talks about it like, oh, no one would dare kill me. But this guy knows that somebody's going to come for him. He knows an assassin's going to come for him that has killed everyone else before him, that has killed skilled warriors and lit a fucking garden on fire. And it's like, why would anybody do what Bronte says anymore? It would be really interesting if Leila liked some of these people a little bit. It would give some depth to her kills if she had to kill them to meet her ends, but she felt bad about it. Instead, it's just like, oh, it's the next baddie in line. Can I just have the next evil guy step forward onto my knife? So Romulus doesn't give her any information that she wants after the meeting is over, and she says, have you forgotten where you stand, Proctor? This is not a partnership. You killed my mother, you will work for me, and you will learn your place. Is that understood? She's just an evil queen, and there's no two ways about it. She stole his daughter. She stole his daughter and parades that girl around in front of him daily. And now she's just like, you're gonna do what I say, bitch. And his crime, of course, was killing her mother, but obviously he didn't know her back then because she wasn't even born. And two, like, how's he gonna disobey the sovereign? How's he gonna do that, huh? You keep making it clear, book, that people don't disobey the sovereign, but what he was supposed to back then? The girls are sitting in on a challenge again. They've actually started to care, I guess. This is the one where they had to dive and swim for a key. Ah yes, we have the shrieking eels.
Do you know what that sound is, Highness?
Always a good time. I don't really have too much to say here because it's just really a repeat of the swimming challenge from the first book, so if you saw that, you're not really missing anything here. Basically, all of this is just to show that Leila blessed Tobias without meaning to, because, you know, she was turned on, I think. When she's turned on, she just blesses people without meaning to. I don't know. But also, it gives her a chance to be jealous of Cosima again, because she can be like, oh, Cosima touched him everywhere that I touched him. The challenge is over, and we all know that Tobias, like, hauls some guy up out of the water and is like, heal him, for he is injured. And Leila is not allowed to go across there and heal him because reasons? Romulus, my man. We just went up a couple notches in my estimation. So, you know, I was trying to figure out, like, why she couldn't go through. But she's like, Romulus, I command you to let down the wall. He's like, I only take commands from the Savior. And he looks at Cosima. Stone cold, Romulus. Mwah, chef's kiss. I love you now. And Cosima's like, also stone cold, like, I'm not gonna lower the barrier either. I'm not gonna command the barrier be lowered. And I'm just like, oh, flex, you two. Just while you can, before this mad woman takes over your lives again, just get a couple of digs in. I love it. Remember that bitchy speech she gave him where she's like, you will learn to obey me? Romulus is like, learn your place, healer. Romulus snapped, sit down. There are not enough chef's kisses in the world for this. I mean, she's probably gonna murder the fuck out of him later for his insubordination, but holy shit, am I loving it. We're supposed to be mad at Cosima for letting a man die, but Leila kills people on the regular. But because this is a man that Leila wants to keep alive, we're supposed to be mad at Cosima. She's all like, bodies were piling up around her and she didn't need another. Leila! You are directly responsible for all of those people you killed. You stabbed them. You looked them in their faces while they died in front of you. Why are you freaking out now? She does finally get a chance after the other two are done fucking with her. Like, the bosses that they are, she gets a chance to heal this guy. Injured guy. Injured guy is his name. That is his name now. Raphael. It's Raph. Oh, he's figured it out, though. Raphael has figured it out. Does this mean Leila's just gonna turn around and stab him? Oh my gosh. The next one is called the slap, so maybe she's just gonna slap him, but like, he's like, thank you, your holiness, which means that he knows that she is the savior, and yeah, she's gonna have to kill him now, I think. Oh no, wait, is Raphael the one who gets to like leave the tournament? Is that why he leaves, is because she like, is like, no, he knows, I need to send him away? Maybe. I don't know. Is he one of the gay ones? I can't remember. Who knows? There's too many characters. Anyway, I need to stop now. So, we have chapter 17, The Slap. There better be
a bitch slap involved. That's all I have to say. Probably Layla's gonna bitch slap both of the people who were like sassing her so hard in the last chapter. We don't waste any time with the slap. She just goes straight over to Cosima and smacks her on the face.
Late, it's already slap o'clock.
How dare you defy me? Leila, you do not have a fucking leg to stand on. Like, if you had not murdered so many people that you had literally lost count, it's in the text that she's lost count of how many people she has murdered. If you had not done that, yes, you would have this leg to stand on, but you do not. She says, "You do not get to wager a man's life for your own pride and pleasure. Do you understand? Your crown is a lie." Yeah, that's great. She fucked with a guy's life. The guy even lived. Leila, you kill people on the regular. Just because those people are your enemies doesn't make them any less human people that you kill. Leila manages to heroically pull herself out of the room before she punches Cosima, who is literally cowering before her. So Leila goes to Delphi's room, where Delphi has a female companion, and they are in the midst of something. You can guess what, because everybody's always having sex in this palace. It's not even unusual. Delphi didn't lock her door either, I'm just saying. So Leila comes storming in. Delphi tells her female companion to leave, because that's how important Leila is. Delphi has to drop everything, including the person that she is having sex with, to console and comfort Leila. Leila's mad that all of her allies will like betray her at the drop of the hat, and that's because most of your allies aren't real allies. They're people that you have threatened into doing your bidding. Leila, you need to figure out how to make allies, people who like you, not just because you could have them killed or you steal their children. And then Leila, they have like a really short conversation, like maybe a page long, and then Leila leaves. So Leila just showed up to vag block Delphi and then leave. Leila, this is why nobody likes you. Well, that and the murder. How does the savior work? Like, how does it get changed over, like, when there's a new savior? Because presumably the previous savior doesn't always die in childbirth, I would assume. Maybe they do. Leila's mom was super stabbed to death. But if it's just a normal thing that happens, if the baby is born and the special glowy baby, are they both saviors at the same time until the mom dies naturally? Or the kid takes over, and does that unlock the kid's magical powers, or do they have magical powers from the beginning? There's a soft magic system, and then there's whatever this is. Now Leila's servants are here, and they're all just like, hee tee hee, gossip, gossip, Leila has a boyfriend. I don't know what this scene is doing. It's just her maids trying to guess who she has a crush on. I don't know why this scene is here. Now they figured out who it is, and now they're trying to figure out if Leila has had sex yet. It's just... why? So Leila went back down to the sanctuary or whatever, and she's got Raphael, she's pulled him aside, and she's gonna try to convince him to not reveal her. I don't know if she has any ability to convince anyone anything unless she threatens their life, but let's see how she does. Luckily, she healed the one guy who wouldn't try to take sexual advantage of her besides Tobias. So that's convenient. So as expected, Raph wants out of the tournament. Surprise, surprise. I think he was one of the ones that I was like, what the fuck, when he just got let out in the previous book. Leila says, 2 men are to be honorably released from the tournament. I'll make sure that you are one. But why are 2 men honorably released from the tournament? I've just read the term beat his meat entirely too many times for a fantasy book. Or really any book. I could get through an entire reading experience without ever hearing beat his meat. Again, this is a problem with no teeth because we have read the first book. So we aren't sitting here going, oh no, will Raphael betray Leila and reveal who she is? No, because we've read the first book. If you really, really needed Leila to have a point of view, it should have been in the first book, and just fuck the twist. You know what? Forget the twist. Everybody guessed it anyway. If Leila even needed a POV at all. I don't think that any of this needs to exist. Alright, you guys, I now have chicken nuggets. Yes, I'm aware I eat like a 9-year-old when left to my own devices, but my husband isn't here to cook for me, so. Also, unrelated to anything, YouTube keeps shutting the comments off on one of my videos. I am not doing it. Seriously, YouTube, what the fuck? You're like, I need you to get engagement, and then you shut off my engagement? So I think what we're going for here with this super duper bland romance with Tobias is that everything in Leila's life is supposed to be chaotic and wrong, and then every moment with Tobias is supposed to be good and right. At least so far. Tobias barely had a personality in the first book, but in this one, if all I read was this one, who the fuck is Tobias? He's just some guy who's hot and is always nice.
You're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice.
Alright, so I got to the end of this chapter, The Slap, and I went on to the next chapter, but I don't have time to put both of those in this video, so look for that next time. But I didn't do any kind of outro, so that was the end for today. I will see you next time. Well, hello, traveler. Why don't you sit right down over there, and I'll tell you about some of the best patrons in the whole world, like Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Lennox. Why, I bet you've never heard of a better group of patrons in your whole life.
In the memory game, there are pictures of cherries, tigers, owls, and large strawberries, birds in circles, grasshoppers too. So many picture cards, and you must match too. You've got to remember where you saw the first one so you can find it again when you see the next one.